Hello, welcome back to the channel. We're in South Wales tonight, the Central Brecon Beacons. It's Friday night, long week in work, been home, packed my bag, cooked dinner, changed one of the worst nappies I've experienced for many a year, washed the baby, managed to jump in the car and headed up to the Brecon Beacons. So starting out really late, it's gone 8 o'clock already, and I've parked at Story Arms, so the main car park for Fan Fawr, but I'm walking on the other side of the road up to Fan Fawr, which is just over 700 meters. So a decent sized mountain. I've got a very heavy tent for tonight, so an old OEX Cougar II tent, weighs 3.65 kilograms, so pretty crazy for a tent, but it's two-man. It's a good spec tent, it's semi-geodesic, so should be fine in the wind that we're going to have this evening. But yeah, quite heavy for me, so that's why we're not going very far. And I've also got to be up early and back home to look after the baby in the morning, so I'm not going to stray too far from the car. The sheep are a little bit nervous tonight, and that's because Ed Sheeran is in town. So that is where I plan on sleeping tonight. Fan Fawr, 734 meters. I've chosen the short but steep route up, which I'm sure I'm going to regret in about 5 minutes when I start hitting that really steep bit. If you look to the left, it does break down quite a nice long gentle slide back down to a reservoir, but I didn't think I'd have time to go up that route, especially having to leave early in the morning. So we're making steady progress now. Not quite at the point we're going to go up really steeply. I just want to say huge thanks to those who have been watching the videos and subscribing. We went past 10,000 views on the channel so far this week, which is really humbling that people are taking the time to watch these and give me the encouragement to keep going and create a lot more. I've got this week off work, so I hope to get out in a couple of different tents, a couple of different places, and actually, I'm walking for a really boggy bit now, actually do some proper hiking. I've made a few improvements to my £100 setup and saved money, and I think it's time I took that setup on a proper hike. So I'm going to try and get out one day next week and tick up a couple of new hills in the Beacons and go to some really quite remote parts where it looks like there's potentially some really good pitches up fairly high, but in really remote areas, and also hopefully quite dark sky areas, so if the weather's clear, get some nice astrophotography shots. But I'm going to get to the really steep part now, so I can barely speak and breathe at the same time as it is, so this next session is going to be impossible to do that. So I'll catch up with you on the top, I expect, or maybe halfway up when I'm recovering. So you can just about make out the path that winds its way up to Corndee and Fan Fawr. So probably the busiest path in South Wales. A real scar up the side, but it's a lovely summit to do. I know it's really busy, but you can see why. It offers really impressive views, and obviously the highest spot in south of the UK, so you can tell why people do head up and come here. It's so easy to access from the road.
So the tent is all pitched. It's pretty nice sky tonight. I've had a time lapse running with my other camera, so hopefully that will look nice as well. Really nice views from up here. There's Corndy across the other side of the valley. So the road, the A470, splits straight between us. And I can pretty much see exactly where the cars parked from up here. So only just about a mile away from where we parked. But obviously a decent amount of ascent. You can probably just see the road right down at the bottom there. But yeah, really glorious evening. Really cold. They give it down to 4 degrees tonight. So I might not have bought a warm enough sleeping bag, but I got a down jacket, got some thermals, so I'll be absolutely fine. But what a glorious little spot. So really glad I made the effort to come out tonight, because it was leaving it a bit late after a long week, but I'm in a massive tent, so I should be able to relax quite nicely. Wow, I've got so much space. I don't know what to do with it all, so I've got stuff everywhere. So tonight, sleeping in my Sea to Summit Trek 1 sleeping bag. Comfort rate down to 5 degrees, so it's going to be pushing that tonight. It's going to be down to about 4 degrees, so going to be a bit of a test for whether that's going to keep you warm enough, but I got a few layers. My Nemo Philo pillow, which is really good, really comfy, doesn't weigh too much. And I got my X-Bed Sin Mat 7 Ultralight sleeping mat. And yeah, I'm traveling pretty light apart from that. I haven't got any food or anything. I had a meal before I came out, so I haven't got to worry about any of that. But yeah, I've packed a book, so I'm going to chill out and read. Hopefully it's going to be reasonably clear tonight, so I might wake up and get some astro shots later on. Get some nice shots of the tent with the lamp lighting it up. But yeah, it's really weird having this much space, not being next to the car. This is a tent I've used a few times with my eldest daughter, so a lot of good memories using this tent. Her first camping experience was in this one, so yeah, I'm glad I did take it out for a spin. So yeah, it's 10 to 10 now, so still pretty light. But I'm going to call it an evening. I'm going to get all the cameras switched off, get things charging up and stuff, and try and get up for the sunrise, which is about 5 a.m. So we'll see how that goes. But no, looking forward to having a nice, relaxing night in the tent, read my book, fall asleep, and I can see my breath, so it's much colder than I thought it was going to be. So yeah, hopefully I'll be warm enough, and I'll get a good night's sleep. So I'll catch you in the morning. Wow, it's 10 to 6 in the morning. Didn't sleep brilliantly. I'm really glad I brought the down jacket and the thermals, because it was really cold last night, down to about 4 degrees. So this sleeping bag is comfort rated at 5 degrees. But how much you can really trust those figures, I don't know. I was having a chat to Join Me Outdoors about that, and I sort of said, well, I suppose it's just a case of getting out in a sleeping bag as much as you can in different temperatures, and finding out what your kind of comfort rating is with a sleeping bag. So had I the chance to go back in time, I would definitely have brought a warmer sleeping bag. I don't think it helps it in such a huge tent So it was obviously hard to get any kind of warmth in here, just me in here. But no, it was a pretty calm night inside the tent. It was pretty windy out. Definitely quite a wind chill out there. But the tent was absolutely fine, really solid. The semi-geodesic design really works well. Plenty of ventilation in here, so there's no condensation on the inner. The outside of the tent is absolutely thick with dew and obviously thick with condensation. Bit of a sunrise this morning, cloudy as well, misty. You can see it's burning through now, so hopefully I'll get out and have a nose around. And then sort of start getting packed up to head home in plenty of time, I guess. But I want to try and leave it long enough to dry the tent out a bit if I can, rather than packing away absolutely soaking wet. So I'll get up, do some sorting out, and I'll catch up with you in a bit. So one of the few things I don't like about this tent is I find it really hard to get it equally tensioned out. So the OE seems to be a part that's either overly tense or not quite enough. So last night it was the door that was quite flappy. Just couldn't quite get that set right. It seems like as soon as you try and move it around to get the door nice and taut, something else goes slack and it's really hard to pick that up. So that could just be me and being terrible at pitching tents, but it could just be a slight quirk with the design. Top tip, always have a little microfiber cloth to wipe the tent down. Makes it a lot quicker to dry and you can get packed away a lot quicker. And also if you're doing a multi-day hike, you don't want to be carrying a heavy wet tent. You want it to be as dry as possible so that you don't have to carry the extra weight of all the water. Well, that's the tent dried down. It's a very pleasant morning now, but it's just still a lot of mist, low-lying cloud around, so there's not really much of a view, not really much of a sunrise I wouldn't have thought. Time-lapse won't be very nice, but it's fine. It is pretty chilly, and I'm definitely learning now that the months, when you're up at this high, about 730 metres, it's just going to be a lot colder than you expect, so you should probably pack the warmer sleeping bag. Definitely pack the thermals and stuff just to be on the safe side. And I'm, that Trek 1 sleeping bag now, I think I'm gonna, it's gonna be really, have to be really mild forecast before I use that bag again, because it's a really big bag in terms of width and stuff. I went for the wide option because I want to be able to turn around in the sleeping bag normally. So for summer that's ideal because you can turn around, you can move around in it, you can use it as a quilt. Absolutely great, but when it's colder, you've got a lot more air inside the bag to try and warm up. And again, it's only supposedly the one season bag, although it is comfort rated down to 5 degrees because it is still a 650 power nice down sleeping bag. But I got a Trek 3 which is comfort rated to -5, which last night I'd have been lovely and warm in that, not a problem. So yeah, a little bit extra weight, but not significantly extra weight because it's a much narrower bag, so it's more of a mummy-shaped bag. So, yeah, I should have taken that last night, but you live and learn. So, just as I finish packing up, the weather clears out completely and it's absolutely stunning, the views from up here. So there's Corn D, Pen y Fan just sort of hidden in just behind it. So it's cleared right out now. And then there's all of South Wales down there to the sea. What a spot. And as you can see, my shadow is where I was pitched, so leaving absolutely no trace. And this is a great little mountain in terms of how easy it is to access from good parking. And also, you could pretty much pitch a tent anywhere. It's just really nice grass. So there's the Western Vans there, the Fan Fawr and Vac, the lakes underneath peaks doing all the rest of it. Just a really lovely spot to pitch a tent. So this is where I was pitched. I was pitched pretty close to the edge. There's a long sweeping
curve down to the reservoir, which is probably a very nice walk. I've not taken that route before. And then very steep descent down there. And the car is parked over there, pretty much underneath Corn D in the road. So that's where we're going to head back now, get back, get ready to take the baby out for the day. But yeah, it was misty to start with, but now it's absolutely glorious. So starting to make our way back to the car now. A lot more wrapped up on the way back than on the way up. Hoping I don't get too warm now, as it was downhill all the way. So hoping not to get too hot and sweaty. But yeah, a really glorious place to pitch a tent up here. So I'd highly recommend it if you are in the area and you want to go somewhere where it's pretty quiet, but it's really easy to access. And you've also got some really good views from the central beacons. Yeah, absolutely tons of places to pitch a tent as well. So you're not scrabbling around with thick heather and other stuff. Lots of smooth, soft, grassy areas to pitch a tent. You could probably hold a festival up here, but that's not a suggestion by any means before people start going crazy. So the path up the Corn D in Pennyvan is already very busy. Car park's already nearly full. Just a typical Saturday morning at Pennyvan. That mountain to the left is above Crag Cara de Glicier, where I camped in the Jack Wolfskin Gossamer one, so you can sort of see whereabouts I was this time. So I'm not expecting anything eventful to happen on the walk back to the car, so I might just do a couple more little scenery shots if it looks like it's worthwhile. But apart from that, if you've made it this far, massive thanks. It's really appreciated. Every view, every comment, every subscriber. It's absolutely brilliant what's been happening so far. So yeah, if you like what I'm doing, drop me a like on the video. And if you want to catch up on my latest adventures, then do hit the subscribe button. You can always hit the notification button as well to be notified of my latest uploads and stuff. I'm going to try and do 2 a week if I can. So I'm going to try and get a few in this week, so I've got a few in reserve. But yeah, thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one.